If you've paid attention, you know better than to expect Bernie Sanders to say,
And what about me? I'm tired of Trump. I'm tired about Clinton.
with regard to himself. He's just not that self centered. It's never been about him. However, we've got less than a week for the message to reach enough people who've otherwise given up on voting that it's also not about Hillary or Trump. And Bernie can win this election with your help and with the help of other people who care about our future. Think I'm misrepresenting Bernie's position? Listen to what he said recently.
Well, you know what? This campaign is not about Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. Believe it or not, shock of all shocks, this campaign is about you.
That's right, it's always been about us, not the disgusting clump we're being told to pick the left or right side of. As if there's even any clear way to tell which side is which. If you help one wing of a monster take flight, don't expect that to keep the other wing down. We've seen that fail enough times already to know it's just going to keep on failing, no matter how many times people are fooled into trying it again. We need a better strategy. So, I'm guessing since you made it this far that I've got your attention. That's good, because I want you to listen to why Bernie Sanders, who wants to be elected president, has been encouraging people to vote for Hillary Clinton, and more importantly, how we can do better than that.
This is called the 2016 Democratic National Platform, the most progressive platform in American political history. You did that, and I thank you very much for that. Now, what is in the platform and what is it that we have got to do? For a start, we have got to understand, and one of the major differences between Secretary Clinton and Mr. Trump is an understanding of this.
Remember when Bernie said to make up your own mind about who to vote for?
We're not a movement where I can snap my fingers and say to you or to anybody else what you should do, because you won't listen to me. You shouldn't. You'll make these decisions yourself.
You see, that platform can be used by more progressive Democrats in our government to limit the damage that can be done by a president elected as a Democratic Party nominee. And Bernie recognizes that it is very likely either a Democrat or a Republican will be elected. So, of course, he's going to oppose the election of a Republican nominee who cannot be held accountable to the Democratic Party's platform. And of course, he's going to do his best to not give the Democrat branch of the establishment an excuse to throw that platform away, which our votes for him in the Democratic Party primaries helped to make possible, in spite of everything they put us through. However, don't forget that, as Bernie repeatedly reminded us, history has demonstrated time and time again that when millions of people fight to make things better, they win. Also, don't forget
the many, many thousands of people who have come out in meetings all over this country. We had almost 6,000 people in Denver, 5,000 people in Minneapolis, New Hampshire, Iowa, huge crowds. And what all of this tells me is that our campaign is catching fire. We have real momentum. And the reason we have momentum is we are talking about the real issues that are impacting the American people.
So you see, Bernie hasn't abandoned us. He hasn't sold out. He hasn't changed his focus. Sure, many people feel that he let us down, but the fact is, we let ourselves down. And that's exactly what the overlords above our government wanted us to do. That's right, we played right into their hands and left Bernie Sanders to clean up our mess the best he could by at least trying to make sure all those lesser of two evils votes out there would be more likely to elect a candidate who could be pressured to abide by that progressive platform he mentioned earlier. But what of all the people who have just given up on voting, whether recently or years ago? who greatly outnumber the people casting votes for one bad candidate in the hopes of beating the other bad candidate. We've got less than a week to reach those who are boycotting the coin toss and ask for their help to elect Bernie by voting for any good candidate who's not on either side of that coin. If they want some other candidate they've been told can't win, that's okay too. The idea is without participation, it can't be a democracy. If those who are oppressed allow their votes to be silenced, or worse yet, turned into votes for those who will oppress them more, then the oppressors have a democracy and the oppressed are not included in it.
We are talking about the need for a political revolution, which says enough is enough, that the billionaire class cannot have it all. We are honest enough to discuss the fact that for 40 years, the middle class of this country, the great middle class, has been disappearing, while at the same time we see massive levels of income and wealth inequality. We are talking in our campaign about the need to create millions of jobs, rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure, raising the minimum wage to a living wage, pay equity for women workers. We are talking about the real attack on the fundamentals of American democracy by this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, which is allowing the Koch brothers and other billionaires to buy politicians right and left.
You see, oppressed people giving up on voting won't stop their oppressors from voting against the interests of the oppressed. Don't expect the oppressors to talk about the real issues that impact the general population unless we elect Bernie or some other candidate who's talking about the kinds of things Bernie's campaign has been talking about all along. The simple fact is that Bernie Sanders has the support to win, but cannot be out campaigning for himself, and does not want to win unless enough people have gotten the message that we need to participate in making things better and not give in to the lie that it can't be done. Because only when enough of us insist on accepting nothing less will the truth and the people be victorious.
Damn right. That is one of the issues, but there are many others. Now, what has been really unfortunate, and I think I speak for the vast majority of the American people who say this has been an ugly and distasteful campaign, and people cannot wait till it's over. Right? And one of the reasons for that is that to an outrageous degree, what the media has done is focused on Hillary Clinton and focused on Donald Trump. Well, you know what? This campaign is not about Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. Believe it or not, shock of all shocks, this campaign is about you. There was just a study, let me give you an example of how pathetic this is. There was just a study, came out very recently. This is what it said, quoting, since the beginning of 2016, the three major evening news programs, the evening news, ABC, CBS, and NBC, have devoted just, this is combined, just 32 minutes to issue coverage. 32 minutes over the course of a year on three major networks. All of the rest of the time, it has been on personality or scandals or all kinds of other stuff. And that is one of the reasons that so many people get turned off. Because they are saying, what about me? I'm tired of Trump. I'm tired about Clinton. What are the candidates going to do for me? What is going on in this country? How do we address the major crises that we face? Those are the issues that we've got to tackle.
Well, this has been Bernie's message for decades, and some of us have been paying attention that long. Some, I'm sure, even longer than that. Bernie wasn't the first hero to step forward and put himself at risk for our sake. Sure, he would be content to remain an independent U.S. Senator for the state of Vermont, and I'm sure many people in Vermont would rather have him remain their senator than have to go get another one, since he has been, for a long time, and still is, the most highly approved U.S. Senator. But as the President of the United States, with our active support, he could do more good for all of us than he can even hope to accomplish as a senator. He knows that. I know that. I'm sure most of the people of Vermont know that, and obviously many of you know that. Don't expect this to be easy, but instead expect it to be hard. Expect it to be unlikely to succeed unless we fight like we mean it. Expect there to be sacrifice, as there has been all along, and perhaps even a little more. But know that we can win, and never lose sight of the fact that the example set by the heroes you know through recorded history, and the many more heroes whose examples inspired them, but who never made it into the history books, are examples to be followed because it is due to their efforts and the efforts of people like them that our lives are not even more difficult than they are. We have them to thank for making our lives better. And with a climate change crisis threatening the very existence of life on our planet, future generations of life on Earth may have us to thank and our efforts for making humanity's future better and perhaps even for making their lives possible.
I am a human being. I have rights. You can't do that to me. I need dignity. And unions were formed, and people fought, and people died, and people were beaten, and people went to jail. When millions of people stand up and fight, they win.
So pass the word. Whether you live in the USA or you're just a concerned member of humanity, visit websites like BernieVote.com and phone people to tell them Bernie's an option. Run searches for memes about writing in Bernie and share them on your favorite social media platforms. And the big one, let's have an anti-boycott of the general election on November 8th, 2016. What I mean is, let's boycott the idea of not being at the voting booths on November 8th, 2016. In other words, boycott staying home from the general election rather than staying home and boycotting the general election. If you voted early, go anyway. Stay back far enough to not disrupt the voting process and join the forming crowd of anti-boycotters encircling each voting place just beyond the minimum distance, and not all clumped together in one place. Let's elect all the Bernie-crats we can to support us in choosing a presidential candidate who isn't part of the coin toss team telling us to vote for each side out of fear of the other side. You can look up who the Bernie-crats are through berniecrats.net. Add your own research to that, of course, if you have the time, and make up your own mind. And of course, let's elect our presidential candidate, Bernard Bernie Sanders, as our president of our United States of America for the sake of our future. Thank you.